right. So the last time we were together, we kind of ended with the two things that you committed to at the Dreamin' in Color event. Jay, you committed to becoming certified, and then being a speaker at the event next year. So my question to you that I've been dying to ask is, so what are you doing? Like what is next? What's going on right now, and like what's in the immediate future for you?
Yeah, so you're right. I did commit. It was the energy. It just got to me. But yeah. So I got the challenge. I have to get it done. So I've been committed to getting certified. As a matter of fact, I've been dual training, almost like dual wielding sabers.
Okay.
Jedi.
Yeah.
I've been dual training. So I've been taking a course on Udemy, a Salesforce admin course, A to Z kind of course. And I've
Yep.
also been doing the trailheads on Salesforce website as well, both around sales, not sales, but both around the admin cert. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm hard training for that. In addition to that, I did mention speaking. I'm not worried about that, Ted. I'm not worried about that. I speak when I'm asleep, so that's no big deal for me.
I think you
But
got that one down. Yeah.
yeah, the
But let me
certification.
ask you though, I mean, we'll get into the certification in just a second, but in terms of speaking, like how does that look at your job? Like, you have that wild card sort of job where you're doing so much within operations from, you said before, from the executive level down to the user level and like everything in between.
Mhm.
But do you, besides getting on the phone and and video conferences, are you speaking in like front of groups there at your office, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, manager business operations, right? So really think of a chief of staff.
Okay.
It aligns more in that kind of realm to where I support our executives, in particular one executive, right? And his team of directors or her team of directors. So
Yeah.
as you can imagine, I'm that middleman that's passing information, going to meetings, covering topics. So all of those things are kind of what I do, in addition to preparing executive content as well. So that's why I say when it comes to
I see.
speaking, I'm no,
I
yeah, no
got
shy,
that
not
down.
shy over here.
Okay. Okay. So so certification ad so you're starting off with the admin certification?
Yeah, I think just like I'm gonna do dual training, I'm gonna dual wield those certifications as well. So I am gonna start with the admin cert,
Yep.
but they also recently released an associate cert as well. So I feel like I can kind of two birds, one stone that thing
Yep.
and just knock both of those out.
Yep.
And from there, I may move on to maybe the BA cert or Sales Cloud. I don't know which one I'll do next, but I'm pretty sure I won't stop at just the admin cert.
Okay. So I think that's awesome. Totally admirable. It's very different than what happened with me in my path. But let me ask you, um how are you, do you use Salesforce? Like, how are you in actually experience using Salesforce? Because I know you're like new to the Salesforce ecosystem, but a lot of people might actually use it in their job. Do you actually use it at
I
all,
do
or
not.
no?
I do
No.
not. I do
Okay.
no Salesforce in my current role. I do interact with some sales folks
Yeah.
sometimes. I do leverage Salesforce, but outside of that, no. This
Okay.
is this is learning a new skill for me.
Okay. Because a lot of times people would say like, yeah, I use Salesforce, at my job,
Mm,
for it could be it could be for sales, or it could be for like, 10 other things,
yeah.
but like they wouldn't consider themselves like an expert or knowing how it works per se. You know what I mean? So that's
Mhm.
interesting that you don't have that sort of background like at all. You're just kind of going in. So what have you uncovered so far? Like, is it holding together in your mind? Like, is it making sense yet?
It,
Like,
like the crazy thing is it makes perfect sense. At least the admin
wow.
does. Because prior to my role now, I used to be a developer. So Salesforce to me, it's just RDBMSs, relational databases.
Yeah.
This term different, and you have a different front end. Now, of course, I'm oversimplifying it, right? Because the thing has a ton of functionality and a bunch of other things it do. But the core concepts,
Yeah.
They relate to what I used to do. So as I'm going through these different trainings, it's like, okay, I know this. It's just about learning the Salesforce terminology behind it.
Right.
So yeah, like for instance, right now I'm doing well, I done data migration. I've done several widgets already, but the last one I was doing was formula fields.
Yeah.
To seeing how it uses a lot of the canned formula, say from an Excel, to help you write that
Right.
expression
Yeah.
to kind of formulate that read-only field. So yeah, like it's right up my alley.
Okay.
So
So it's kind of my duty as somebody that's been around Salesforce for ecosystem for a while, and you just mentioned formula. So do you even, if I say the name Steve Moe, does that mean anything to you? Have
it
you
does
heard
not.
that before?
I have not heard that name.
Ah, I love it.
I have
Okay.
not.
Okay. Awesome. That is perfect. And the person who would love that the most is Steve himself. So that might be one of our first guests, maybe that we can have on the
Okay.
show. So Steve is just a quick side note, but Steve is like, if there's a celebrity like in the Salesforce world, it might
Mhm.
be Steve. So for real, like
Okay.
like people that are in the community, like they end up getting to know Steve because he's been around for a long time and really helping a lot of people. So he kind
Mm,
of made his mark by answering some ridiculous amount of questions on the Salesforce community. Like
yeah.
we're talking tens of thousands of answers that he's provided to people throughout the years.
Oh
Like
wow.
like insane, like totally.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's funny as hell. Like so I think he used to be a comedian. He is so funny. So anyway, yeah, that's a little side note, but that could be somebody maybe in the future that we could have on, especially if you're interested in formulas and we, kind of go down that road like a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
have a little
definitely.
fun.
Let's get Steve on. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm doing right now. What about yourself outside of work? Like what else are you using Salesforce for? Like what are some unique projects you may have going on?
Yeah, so like at work, I do a lot of consulting, kind of internal consulting on what we can do with Salesforce and
Hmm.
ways that we can use it. And
Yeah.
so and so that's been fun. Like we've been able to find small enhancements to Salesforce that solve for larger data architecture problems.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when you build Salesforce and you use custom objects, you might build it a certain way in the beginning, but then as time goes by, you realize it really isn't the best structure.
Right.
Even if it's
Right.
accurate, it may not be the best structure for the users to get the most out of the data.
Uh-huh.
And so that can be a problem because that could be a really big project to try to undo and redo a different way,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you could relate to with your
Oh yeah. Yeah.
developer and relational database background. So we're trying to find ways to, what can we do maybe with a lookup field on a key object to kind of
Hmm.
make a direct connection with another table, so to
Hmm.
speak. And so we're doing some fun stuff with that. But one of the things that I've been doing outside of work is I've taken a Salesforce org and I've built it out to track my vinyl record collection.
Oh wow. Vinyl
So
records.
vinyl
Hold
records.
on,
So
hold on. Hold on, Ted. We have to get into that. Like vinyl records, do you DJ like
I do not
or you just
DJ.
a consumer?
I do
Okay.
not, but I play a lot of records, and my
Okay.
son has actually DJed a couple of times. So he was the guest DJ at a fundraiser that my wife was involved in, and so
Oh
he came and
wow.
brought his crate of records and spun some tunes and stuff. So we do have it in the Hazard family, just not me. Um, but I really like buying a lot of old records because you get a lot of stuff for like $5. It's like right up my
Mm.
alley. Old New Englander, frugal. Maybe some people call me cheap, but like you can buy, you can find some good old stuff. And so what I found that I was doing is I was getting all these cool records, and then they were just kind of going in crates, and I'd forget like what I had, and I'd you know, and I'd want to find a way to be able to look for connections between um, the jazz musicians that I have playing on these records. And
Hmm.
so I used the Salesforce org to track that. So I turned accounts into the artist name, and I used opportunity as the album. And so then that way, and I put in some custom fields to be able to track like what their primary instrument is. And that way, if Jimmy Smith
Huh.
is a record that I've bought, he can be an artist, which is that account record,
Mhm.
and then this album prayer meeting can be an opportunity, and so I can track it that I bought it for $5
Mm.
and the date that I bought it and where I bought it from, the genre and things like that, and then I can use account team and things like that to say that Stanley Turrentine plays tenor sax. And so I can put him on kind of like as on the account team, and I can begin to track not only the albums that I buy, but then the people that are involved. And so you're basically taking advantage of that standard relational database
Mhm.
to do this. And so when I'm out at a store and I want to look something up, I have it right on my phone. So I can just
Right.
go right into the org and find out like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't have that one yet, or or what
Mm.
have you. So that's one of the cool things. I think it's cool anyway. Some people think it's nerdy, but that's what I've
No,
been
no,
doing
no, that
outside.
is pretty cool because I mean
So
you touch on the key point. You know, it's only, let's say you work 6, 8 hours a day, right? Then you leave.
yeah,
Only you do so much, right? You retain so much. So why not use what you've learned or what you're doing in a way to help benefit you outside of work? And I think
yeah,
that you just gave an excellent example of, doing that. Me, no, I'm gonna have to figure out how to leverage Salesforce for some of the hobbies that I have going, 'Cause
right. Well,
I
and
think it
and
fits.
actually, that's some advice I give to some of the people in my Salesforce user group
Mhm.
back in Portland. Is when you start to learn it, like Udemy is great, Trailheads are great, absolutely nothing but good things to say about those. But there's something to be said about just getting your hands into
Mhm.
your own org and taking those things that you just got exposed to in those courses and then doing it, and seeing what it feels like to do it yourself. It's kind of like just like reading about something or like learning the concepts, but then applying it, kind of in a safe, fun way. You know what I mean? So yeah, so
Right.
I don't think the record thing is for everybody, but for sure some of the things you might be into, if you think about it in that, you can spin it off in an org and help test some of those concepts that you're studying for.
Right. And look, I got a funny story on that since we're talking about,
Okay.
it's a big difference between doing and, well, experiencing and just, kind of book
Yeah.
reading about it, right? So my wife and I, we went to, what's the name of this place? Oh my God, Gatlinburg. We went to Gatlinburg to
Okay.
go snowboarding and skiing. Had
Yeah.
never been before. Had seen it done on the X Games and like folks like
It
Shaun
looked
White.
awesome,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, oh my goodness, he's killing. All you got to do is stand up on the board and go. I can do that.
Right.
We go, we go up. I put the skis on. I say no. Before I even touch the ice, I say skis are not for me. This is a bit, wow. I think I'm more of a snowboarding kind of guy. So I put the snowboard on. I am on the bunny hill. For
Yeah,
those who don't know what the bunny hill is, it's
I
hardly
do.
even got a slope on it. So I say, I'm about to Shaun White this thing.
Yeah.
And I immediately start sliding backwards and couldn't stop. So I just had to fall on the ground and lay there.
Right, right. Yeah.
But and then try to get up. Needless to say, it did not work out. But that just goes to show, like when you're on the outside looking in, it's easy to kind of say, oh,
Right.
well, it doesn't look like it's hard. That doesn't look like it takes much effort.
Right.
But then when you get into it and you get engaged, you see how much effort Shaun White had to put in just to go down the hill. So you
Right.
talk about Steve Moe, the fact that he's answered that many questions in the community and helped that many people just kind of indicates, the type of time and effort that he's put into the Salesforce ecosystem to be able to
Such a
do
good
that.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve, I don't know you yet,
Yep.
but good job, man. You get two
Yeah.
thumbs up. Good job.
Yeah, totally.
So
All right, cool. So, do you have a time frame for your cert work? Like, are you shooting for this spring, or how has it been playing out in your mind?
in my mind, Ted, if I'm being honest, I want to get it done. Say this is end of August. I want
Yeah.
to say early to mid October. I
Oh,
want to, I
dang.
want to, I want to get the cert done, get it taken. Now, is that realistic? I don't know, but as we mentioned, I like to challenge myself, so I'm gonna go for it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Good.
I'm gonna push to get it done. And trust me, I have someone that's part of my support system that ensures not a day goes by that I'm not Salesforce in something.
Mm.
So we have to do Salesforce before we can watch Hell's Kitchen. Like
Mm.
we just have to, you know.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
so it's good to kind of have that support, you know, and kind of pushing me. And besides, this person has I think 3 or 4 certs already. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think having your wife on a future podcast could be pretty darn interesting.
Oh,
Well, well,
look, yeah. I'm a I'll ask her about it. I say, hey, you wanna get on the podcast? She goes, who me?
yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. The whole podcast, I'm just gonna be quiet and look at her like
Yeah.
this.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, you know what? I think I have to reevaluate myself because I have a couple of certifications myself, but
Mhm.
I've been doing it for a long time. I actually started J like before they even had Trailhead and before they had certifications.
Mhm.
And to be honest, when they came out, um, I and a lot of people in my circle we were a little jaded about it. We were like, "What? Like we already know how to do this. Like,
Right.
why are you now telling me we need a certification to tell people that we need to be certified?"
Mhm.
And so I sat on it for like a year, and then I realized that I was just being, stubborn and pigheaded, and that like that was not the right play. So I studied and passed my admin cert as
Mhm.
my first one, and then I've got a few after that. But one of the things that I've been trying to do is, I've failed with this. Like I haven't been consistent, but I had a streak there where once a year I'd try to get another certification,
Yeah.
and I kept up with it for a bit. But it's something I got back to last year. I got another one last year, which I'm proud
Mhm.
about, but I haven't done it yet this year. So I think your enthusiasm and your kind of like attacking sort of spirit,
Sure.
maybe that's what I got to take a closer look at and put myself on the hook for this year too. If you can do it, like, and we're gonna do this together, maybe I should do it too.
Okay, so sounds like next episode you're gonna come in and say, hey, look, I'm getting XYZ cert. I'm gonna give you a date,
Yeah.
all this other good stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
look, I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm sending that contagious energy your way, Ted. So
I don't know if I like this support network thing. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
So I will ask, so how difficult are the certification tests in your opinion, considering that you've been doing it for quite some time?
I think they're hard. The ones I've taken have pushed me into new things that I haven't known before.
Mhm.
And I learn by doing and by seeing and that sort of thing. So I can do like the reading part of it and take some quizzes, and it's like I'm okay with that, but like
Yeah,
I really have to do it. So I think I had an advantage in the sense that I was doing an admin job for a while
right.
before the certs even came out. So even though what you do as an admin doesn't line up perfectly with the certification, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like there's let's just say that there's 100 things that you could do as an admin. I'm just obviously using that as an example, and
Mhm.
and then the certification is like 20 of those 100, and so it's not necessarily comprehensive, but it's a great indicator. It's a great indicator that you're on the path, that you're learning
Mhm.
important things, and people in the industry know that certifications are important, but they're not the only thing. There is a blend between experience and certification,
Right. Yeah.
and be and being in the industry and somebody that's I've been in a role where I've hired people or influenced hiring of people,
Mhm.
um, and a lot of times in my case it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be Salesforce experience that you have, but like experience in something related to it. And if you can demonstrate your acumen in certain types of topics, and you can show an enthusiasm and a
Mhm.
willingness to learn, then anyone can, I think most people can see that that type of person could pick up Salesforce. Like if you're
Right.
curious and you're motivated and you've done similar things in the past with other stuff, then
Mhm.
you're really intriguing to somebody that's hiring, I think. So, and I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying like in general, when you're looking at the whole certification thing in the whole context of who you are as a person, because it's obviously more than that. So
Yeah, but I mean that is a good segue, right? I'm doing this thing. People may want to know. So why are you doing it? Are you
yeah,
just doing it for the challenge? Is it just another mountain to climb? I mean, that's a piece of it. But also, you never know where you're gonna land, right? You never know what can happen. I can
yeah,
be super awesome Jay today and be need to get back to super awesome Jay tomorrow. And what Salesforce will allow me to do, it'll give me another tool in my belt, right?
right,
Not every problem is a nail, not every solution is a hammer.
yep,
So I want to make sure that I have more than just a hammer to drill nails. It may be a screw and I need a screwdriver, you know,
yep,
and Salesforce may be that screwdriver.
yeah.
But
That's
I'm
a good
always looking
point.
to expand opportunities, and I encourage other folks as well. You may be in a position that you like, you may love your position. If you do, look for ways to advance in that position. Also, look for outside things that may help you advance or may
Right.
be something that you need in your next step,
Yeah,
you know?
that's a
So,
good point. You know what that
yeah.
kind of reminds me of is my this might be my last thought for for this episode, since we covered a lot of great ground, and is that reminds me a lot of my grandmother, who used to always, say like, learn something new today, and then at the end of the day, what did you learn today? And it wasn't pushed one thing, like it wasn't an agenda about learning something at
Right.
school or whatever. It was just learning, and
Mhm.
and the whole tool belt sort of mentality. So
Right.
yeah, I can relate to that.
Well, your grandma, super smart lady. I can tell just based on that, and someone that was encouraging and pushed. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I
Well,
think
thank you.
we've covered a pretty decent amount of information. We don't want to do 16 episodes on one thing, right? So I mean, we'll
Yeah.
look forward to connecting with the audience next time. And we're always open to questions. Steve Mo, I'm gonna look you up. I may send you a question, but I'm gonna do it anonymously so you don't know it's me. It'll be
Yeah.
like I may send it under Ted Hazard or something,
Yeah.
so you don't know it's me. But
All right, that sounds good. And then I'll take your challenge, and I'll come up with what I'm going to study for our next episode.
all right, sounds like a plan. Until next time, my friend.
Okay. All right. See you later.